You're listening to the Coach's Journey podcast, exposing the struggles and celebrating the successes in the life of coaches who are action takers and creating authentic impact in today's world. Whether you're just starting out, expanding your reach, or exploding your impact, you're in the right place right now. Stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Now, here are your hosts of the Coach's Journey podcast.
So I wanted to jump on and do a quick video, hopefully quick, to kind of walk you through the client journey. I talk about it in relation to customer journey rather than the strategy call, because it's not just a strategy call. It's a little bit elusive when coaches share it like this. I want to walk you through how I take potential clients through the customer journey. And there are many steps to that customer journey. And at the end, I end up with an offer, or the client ends up with an offer where they exchange money for the value that they receive from me in the form of a high-ticket coaching program. Now, this coaching program could be a one-on-one high-ticket coaching program or group, and I'll share both sides because I have both of them. And this has taken me a long time to figure out. In the beginning, when I was starting out my journey as a coach, all I heard from coaches who were experienced was, hey, just do a discovery call or a strategy session and then make your offer, and then your clients will join. But there were a lot of details, and I'm not saying they were being disingenuous or anything. Like just like when you cook, if you're somebody who likes cooking, I like cooking. I remember one of my friends, Lisa, she came over, stayed with us for a couple of weeks or a week or so in our place. And we have a tradition in our family. We cook a lot of stuff. We do cook quite a bit. And that's been actually passed down to us by my parents and my culture. And so we cook quite a bit, multiple times a week. And as she stayed with us, she asked us, like, you guys sure do cook a lot. And you guys cook really good stuff. Can you teach me some of this stuff? I'm like, yeah, for sure. It's easy, simple. And then I sent her the recipe. She struggled with that. She's like, can you get on a call with me and do this? And then we got on a Zoom call. And as I walked her through the process, I realized how many details were there. And for me, it had just become a subconscious process because it was passed on to us, and I experimented a little bit with it. And I personally like cooking. So I created a bunch of stuff out of it. But when I walked her through the process, there were so many steps in there. So hopefully I can walk you through all the details of the steps. And usually one of the biggest reasons why coaches can't sell a high ticket program is because they assume that if I just get on a one-on-one call, talk about my coaching program, they should buy it. And then their frustration is that, well, they don't really understand coaching. And then they don't know how to deal with that. And I'll share some other resources that will help you as well as I go through this, because this video might not be enough, but at least I'll give you the general outline of how what journey I take my clients through. And I'll actually draw it up for you visually so you see that. I'm not in front of my board, so I'll use the digital board. And I'll show off my artistic ability, which is at this point is not that great, but we'll do the best that we can. So I'm pretty sure you can see this. So I'll start with from left to right. Let's say I meet a client. I told you artistic ability here. We connected. Actually, let me erase this, because there is, no, actually, that's fine. Bear with me here. So let's say I meet a client, and this could be through online, through LinkedIn, Facebook, could be at an event that I attended or an event that I speak at, or it could be a referral, or it could be any way that I got connected with a potential client. And I see that they could potentially be a potential client, potentially could be a potential client. But the next step in that process is usually for me to book a quick call. It's usually a 30-minute call for me. And usually the way these conversations at events or online, there are some tweaks in there. But if I'm speaking at an event, I already have credibility. I usually give them a freebie of some kind, whether I give them access to my course or a training that I've done, or if I talk to them one-on-one, I'll usually ask them some questions around where they're at in their life and what are they trying to do. And usually at events, I don't get the chance to go deeper into some of these areas, but I would want some time alone with them to figure out what they're trying to do. Now, sometimes this 30-minute conversation can be had at an event where I'm attending or I'm speaking at, but a lot of times I will just give them a freebie of some kind. It could be a PDF, it could be a course, it could be anything, a training that I've done. And then I'll invite them on a 30-minute conversation once I've sent that value add, or I've booked it directly at that event. I send them if I feel like they might gain something. I want to learn more about their path. I'll book a 30-minute call with them. So it could be different ways to do this. And there's so many creative ways you can do this. Same thing with online. Like online, I would usually share a freebie. It could be my live sessions, like a workshop that I'm doing. I usually do one every 6 weeks, or my course, or a PDF, something I'm sharing with them. And then, or I will just connect with them because they are in my network on LinkedIn. I'll have a 30-minute conversation with them to see how I can support them. It's not even related to coaching a lot of times. Sometimes it's just they're in my network. I want to see what they're about, whether or not I can promote them, or whether or not we can collaborate on something. We're just networking. This is important. By the way, this is the reason why a lot of coaches don't have clients, is because they don't do this enough. They don't meet enough people. They don't connect directly with people. They're not active. They're not actively prospecting and networking with people. They're kind of passively putting up content and hoping that clients will reach out to them. It doesn't happen, or it rarely happens unless you have a really good brand or something like that. Okay, so let's assume that I did it, book the 30-minute call. We meet again. So we meet at that 30-minute call. I usually, in these 30-minute calls, I want to know what inspired them to jump on a call. Usually I ask them that, whether they came from a referral or somebody else, what the connection point was, or if I booked the call with them. I want to understand what are some of their goals, what are some of the things that they're working on, what are some of their challenges, to see whether or not I can actually support them. Usually goals and challenges and goals are those two key areas you want to find out, because your program is usually the gap in between that. Now, keep in mind, this is still not the call where I make an offer. It's far from it. And this is where coaches get stuck. Excuse me, I've had a little bit of a cough the past few days. So a lot of coaches get stuck here because they think that just because they had a 30-minute call with somebody, they should just make their offer. And there are times where people have come to me, they're like, I'm ready to join because they've heard about me, they've heard of my brand and all that stuff. They've heard me speak. I need to work with you. I still take them through this process because for a couple of reasons. One, most people don't know what the hell coaching is, even if they've gone through coaching, because there are so many different modalities of coaching. And coaching is such a wide-ranging term. People use it for business mentoring, mindset coaching, and like financial coaching or health coaching, all sorts of things that might not align with your kind of coaching. So I need to know, first of all, that they understand the service that I'm providing. So I need to understand what that is and whether or not my services fit clearly in the challenges that they're going through and the goals that they have. And it's a tedious process. And I'll talk to that, why it's worth it for you to do this. So after I have this 30-minute call, I actually send a questionnaire. I'll put this questionnaire that might take them anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes to fill out in between the calls. And then the next call will be, for me, it's a 120-minute call most of the time. Sometimes it's a 90-minute call. So I'll write 90 to 120 minutes. Hopefully you can pick up on my writing, but I'm saying it too. So the questionnaire, let me see if I can do different colors here. The question, so I'll circle this. These are in between things that are happening. And the 30-minute call, 120-minute call, these are the actual calls that you're doing with them. Okay. So now in the 120-minute call, this is why is it 90 minutes? Why is this 120 minutes? This is my preference. By the way, you could do a 45-minute call or a 1-hour call, depending on the kind of coaching modality you have, your style, and all sorts of things. So many factors. I prefer a 90-minute or a 120-minute call because I can go much deeper and I can help them work through many things. As an overall, what I'm looking for, or pain areas that they're struggling with and they have been struggling with for a while and they don't have solutions for. And keep in mind, a lot of my clients are very much into personal development and growth. They've been on this journey for a while, but as a coach, my job is not to teach them. My job is to find their blind spots and areas that they're not actually noticing, areas of transformation, insight, movement forward, areas that they wouldn't have come up with on their own. And I usually do a lot of discovery before we can get to that point. At least that's maybe, by the way, maybe in 5 years, I'm going to say, oh, screw that, do a 30-minute call. That's possible. But at this point, I do these calls. And why is it worth it for me? And if they come from my network, this is a free call that I do even to this day after almost 10 years of doing this. But if they come from a random place, I usually charge them a deposit, like $100 or $200 deposit, so they can show up on the call. But if they come from my network as a referral, or they came to an event that I'm attending, I usually don't charge anything. I just make sure I have all the systems and automation in place so they can show up. And I'm doing my part on that side. Most people will show up. Some people will reschedule and other things. So make sure you have your system set up, like a calendar system and reminder system in place. Okay, so you got their questionnaire. You get on a 90-minute to 120-minute call. You're looking for areas that they haven't been able to deal with. You're looking for specific problems, a big challenge, hairy big challenge that you can solve for them, or a hairy big goal or vision that you can take them towards, or both. And by the end of that call, they have a lot of insights. They realize something that they didn't realize before. They realize that they haven't had this kind of experience of coaching. This is where your skill sets come in. You will need to do a lot of work to develop your skill sets, where by the end of the call, the client is like, this is incredible. How can I work with you? They might or might not say that, but you're going to frame your session that way, where at the end of the call, you're going to basically say, would you want more? Do you feel like more of these kind of sessions will serve you, or would you want more sessions like this? If they say yes, then you can either book another call, which I prefer, so another connection point. And bear with me, I know it sounds tedious, but this is worth it. 30-minute call, another 30-minute call. Now, in between, they are working through an action, insight, or something like that. And here's what I mean. So this I actually learned from my business coach, and he is an actual life coach or high performance mindset coach as well. And keep in mind, business coaches who are not high performance or mindset coaches will give you a different route. They will actually tell you to make the offer probably on the first call or second call, and both calls are very short and there is no discovery process in there. So they will, many of them might even tell you, don't coach them, just find out their challenges, find out their goals, what they're trying to do, and bridge the gap with your program. That might work for a small tier program, and if you have credibility and other things in place. But if you're selling a high ticket program and you don't have a lot of credibility, trust, and connection with them, and they don't actually understand what coaching is, and most of the time, most people don't understand what coaching is, and they don't understand your style and how you can support them. That's why we take them through a 90-minute, 120-minute, 90 to 120-minute session. So you demonstrate your coaching. You don't talk about it. They see it without a shadow of doubt how it impacted their life in those 90 minutes. And in between, let's say you have the follow-up 30-minute call 2 days later or a week later. I learned this from Michael Neal, one of my favorite coaches, who said that most of coaching that happens in between the calls. I want you to think about this. Most of the coaching actually happens in between calls when they're in their own life. If your coaching was effective, it actually stops them in their track. It gets them to think deeply about their life. They might become much more intentional in their relationships. They might create a plan for their business. They might become much less reactive. They actually start to see tangible effects of your coaching in their life, or you might give them a challenge to work through. They're working through that. And then when you meet on the 30-minute call 2 days later, 3 days later, or a week later, you're actually spending the first 10 minutes asking them about their insights and what is the effect that they saw in their life, or the action that they needed to work through. Were they able to? So you're either keeping them accountable or getting them to think about the insights they had. And then the last 20 minutes, you can just share that the purpose of our call is to really talk a little bit about how I might serve you longer term and help you solve some of those challenges, specific challenges that they shared, or go towards a vision or big goal that they're trying to go through to accelerate their path. So would you be open to hearing a little bit about that? You can ask them that, and they will say yes most of the time. And so then you're spending the next first 10 minutes, you're talking about the action side. The last 20 minutes, you're talking about your program, answering any questions they might have. And ideally, they're either signing up on the call there, or you are sending them the link. And if you're sending them the link and they need to think about it after you've dealt with all the objections, you wanna book sorry, we fixed the color because that was supposed to be for the other. Oh, now it's not letting me. Oh, no, it's good. Okay, so now it's another connection call. 30 minutes. And it could be 20 minutes, whatever. So now on the last call, you usually, if they ask you to send them the link, you've dealt all the objections around them talking to their spouse and all that stuff, and they still want to take a couple of days. I actually encourage my clients to take a couple of days to think about it. I want them to make a conscious decision, but I want to know when they will make their decision. So if they say in 2 days, I book another follow-up call in 2 days. So in the process, they're making a decision. And I'll tell them, even if they make a decision not to move forward, it'll be important for us to have that call, because either we're going to move forward, get them onboarded into the program, or what's going to happen is I can give them some recommendations and some other resources to work through so I can support them afterwards. Now, if they join you, you're going to ask them for a referral. If they don't join you, you're still going to ask them for a referral. So there's also a reason to walk them through this whole process, because this is going to give you a bunch of referrals, even if they don't join. Now, and one of the things that I've learned is to never take, when a client doesn't join, after you've done all this work, you've served them well, you've walked them through your process, you've dealt with objections, you've helped them make a decision. By the way, the process of sales, this is a sales process, is to help make it easier for your clients to make decision for them to go towards the things that matter to them. And of course, if your program is the right fit for their goals or the problems they're trying to solve, then you need to help them make it easier to make those decisions. But let's say they make the decision not to join, you're still asking for a referral. If they make the decision to join, you're still asking for a referral. Do you know anybody else that might benefit from a process that you just went through? And if the process is very powerful for them, they want to refer people to you and get them to connect you with them. So this, just off the bat, this whole process, I know it's a long process, but you get referrals. And a lot of coaches might say, well, I don't have the time, but I can tell you, I talk to a lot of coaches, that's if that's the thought process in your mind, I can tell you that I already know that you're wasting a bunch of time doing all sorts of things that is not moving your business forward. This might seem tedious, but this is going to give you a bunch of referrals. So let's say you did 20 of these calls, and out of 20, 4 or 5 of them gave you referrals, or 6 of them gave you referrals, or 8 of them gave you referrals. That's another 8 or 10 referrals, and you can keep expanding your network like that, keep doing discovery calls. And your job as a coach is to keep booking calls, putting calls on your calendar, not to go post on social media and do other things. You can still do that stuff, or work on your website or newsletter or whatever else you might do, but your job is actually to get calls booked on your calendar so you can actually serve people. So another benefit is that when you do these calls, if in 3 months you end up doing, or 6 months you end up doing 100, you walked 100 people through this process, 100 potential clients. And if you are somebody who's working on their skill sets, getting feedback, learning, listening to these calls, giving yourself feedback, asking feedback from another coach in community, I would be surprised if you walked 100 people through this process that you did not have at least 8 to 10 clients. paying you at your rate. And we'll talk about what that rate might look like. But I want you to think about this. Your job is to book calls, whether you do it through online, in-person, networking events, however you want to do this, you need to take them through this customer journey. Here's the value of this. Every time you talk to 100 to 10 people, you will get 3 or 4 referrals. That will give you another 3 or 4 referrals. They will keep expanding. And while you're doing this, you're also getting other leads too. But in the process, by the end of the year, you might end up talking to 200 or so people. If you do this, at the end of the year, you will forget that I shared this with you, and you will go on and build your business. Hopefully you won't forget and come back so we can support you and scale you further on your path, help you scale further on your path. But you will be very busy and getting clients and actually making money and serving clients in the process. But if you're just trying to get clients quickly, that's a problem, because clients don't know you yet. If you don't have established brand, they don't know your coaching process, they don't trust you yet. It's actually very vulnerable to get clients to jump on these calls. So it's difficult for them to do this, as much as you're saying you're going to do a free call for them. And also, it's actually hard to help clients make a decision. So you're also learning the process of sales. If you are not good at sales, you need to do these calls. You can read books and do other things, but doing the calls, there's no replacement for doing these calls. Finally, so let's count how many hours. If you did go through this process, let's count how many hours. So there's about 30 minutes, maybe a few minutes there, but I'll ignore the first part. 30 minutes, let's say 2 hours, 30 minutes, 3 hours, 3 hours on average. So it's about 3.5 hours. And I would say on average, I spend about 3 to 4 hours with a client, with a potential client, before I offer them. And here are my packages. The smallest package that I have is $6,000. That's my group packages. And this is for me. I'm not saying you should start charging this right away. It took me a while to get to this. The one after that is 15,000. That's one-on-one monthly plus group. My group coaching has a few things in there. There's group coaching twice a month and training and other things in there. Or 36,000. It's one-on-one bi-weekly. And they get other bonuses along with group, like access to an event that I speak at, VIP access, VIP event, and their spouse or business partner gets access to my program. Lots of bonuses that I give for that program. And I also have a lower tier program, which I recently started, but I won't go into that. So I'll separate this. This is the money piece. So I'll circle it in green. So, and going back to, on average, I'm spending 3 to 4 hours. And this is, by the way, very average for a lot of coaches. Let's say they spend 2 hours or 2.5 hours with clients, still worth it. And for every client that you get, by the way, let's say you get, after 100 calls, taking 100, I don't want to say 100 calls, because you're taking them through that journey that I just described. After taking 100 people through this client journey, you even if you end up with 10 people, those 10 people have the potential to connect you with each of them with 10 other people if they're part of your program and you've served them well. This is why one of the things that I recommend to coaching is to constantly be working on your craft as a coach, practicing working with people, free or paid, ideally paid, but even if you can work with beta clients, do it. I'll stop sharing this. Take a screenshot of this, keep it for yourself, and look at this every day. If you're not walking clients through every week through this journey, you're missing out on your coaching. Now, I didn't speak to the group coaching side, because some people might be wanting to launch group coaching. It's a very similar process. The only difference is that you might announce your group coaching that might be for 90 minutes or 120 minutes. You'll spend a bunch of time recruiting people to show up to your free webinar or live coaching session. You make the offer at the end of that. It would be a lower tier program, not a higher tier. Lower might be anywhere from, I don't know, $100 a month, or $1,000 a year, or $2,000, or maybe even $3,000. For your group coaching, and then they either sign up there or you book a discovery call with them. But you can do the same process on the group coaching side. I won't go into it because I know a lot of coaches here or in the initial stages of it, you don't actually need that. I made my first six-figure doing this process. I didn't have group coaching when I built my first six-figure business. And all I needed was about 12 or 14 clients, something like that, with my rates at the time. And by the way, all my programs are a yearly program that I've mentioned. That this is just an example. If you had any questions, please let me know below. And I'm gonna stop sharing this. So keep in mind, this is a customer journey. And if you don't know how to walk people through a discovery call, type #delivery, because we've done a delivery masterclass to our free masterclass on this. And I've walked you through my exact framework that I've used to work with thousands of people. And I've tested it with 2,000 plus people. And we got experience from a few experienced coaches within our community. And we pulled out data from other experienced sales coaches who have their framework to serve clients. So there's a lot of work that has gone into it. It's completely free to you. Type #delivery so we can share that. And if you want to learn more about this process, type #sales so we can share the sales masterclass with you. It'll help you a lot. And keep in mind, on our Coach's Journey podcast, which we broadcast live on Wednesdays at 11, that's tomorrow, we're going to have a session. We broadcast those live, but also we have our podcast that's running on YouTube on the podcast platform, the Coach's Journey podcast. You can go to thecoachesjourney.com. I'll post that below. We've tackled all of these areas in our podcasts. And our goal is to get you to get a few clients so you can join us, so we can help you scale your business or grow to get consistent clients. Because we know that for you to build a sustainable business, you need a community, you need a support structure, you need feedback, you need a process, you need accountability. All that is part of our community, and our pro members enjoy that, and they move forward, and many of them move ahead in a few months than they have done in years being in the coaching world, or months being in the coaching world. So invest in your business. Join us. If you don't even have to join us, find a community like this. I know that there are no communities like ours, but there are ones that are similar. Find them. Join the community that feels aligned with you. Keep in mind a few things. It needs to be a community that can give you feedback on your coaching process, so your skill sets. You need to understand whether or not your skill sets are marketable. 2, it needs to be a community that gives you feedback on your business process. It needs to be a community that's encouraging, keeps you accountable. It needs to be a community where there are coaches who are actually ahead of you, coaches who are where you are, who are challenging you, coaches who are behind you, so you have the chance to mentor them as well. Those things are not there in most communities. That's why Coaching Mastery community is so unique. If you are open to joining us, just type #call so I can book a call with you. We can talk about this further. I want to understand where you are so I can support you. And by the way, I'll walk you through a very similar process in our own sales process as well. So we model that for our clients. I hope this was helpful. Let me know what your insights, questions, thoughts were below this video, and I'm excited to hear from you. Until my next video or conversation, hope you have an incredible day. Bye.
You're listening to the Coach's Journey podcast.